Hello and welcome to another episode of Temporary Australians. I'm Jonesy.
And I'm Hirsty.
I understand that you went to Tasmania on the weekend.
Mate, I had a ball, got to ride through Hobart, up Mount Wellington. It was a terrific ride.
And not a call to your mate Jonesy?
I did try and ring, honest.
Really?
I did.
Maybe it's my phone provider. Maybe that's what it is.
Or it could be your wife. Maybe she wants you at home.
Could be either one of the two. This is what else is coming up.
Jonesy finds a Honda of his dreams. Matt Mingay shows us his second stunt bike. We look at the freedom rides and what they are achieving. We discover the fun of Piglet Racing. We go for a spurt down Victoria's Great Ocean Road. We find out about Eagleriders, and we take a breathtaking ride up Mount Wellington. Now, when you talk to people around Australia about Hobart, they either think of international cricket at Bluntstone Arena or the Sydney to Hobart that finish up at Constitution Dock. But what Hobart is not famous for, and should be, is motorcycling and Richardsons Harley Davidson. So we might go and have a look at all of that. Riding in Tassie is fun, but riding over the bridge into Hobart is awesome, with Mount Wellington in the background and Richos just around the corner. Are there a lot of Harley riders in Tasmania?
Yeah, there's a considerable number of Harley riders in Tasmania. We've got well over 200 members of the HOG group in Tasmania.
What about in Hobart? Is it popular down here?
Yeah, probably almost equally popular in Hobart as it is up the north estate. A bit more population up there, of course, so more riders, but generally we hold our own.
What's been the local community reaction to having a lot of Harleys riding around here?
I don't think there's been too much concern from a community point of view. I mean, everybody recognises a Harley when one goes past, but I don't think there's any concern with them.
The HOG is essentially just an accepted part of the community in Hobart now?
I'd say that, yeah, that'd be the case, yeah.
All the sort of groups and clubs in Tasmania are very welcoming. It doesn't really matter what you ride. So, whenever I roll up at a HOG event or somewhere on my bike, I mean, nobody sort of looks down to you because you're not riding a Harley Davidson.
The Hobart store's been open just over 2 years. It's really an extension of our Launceston store. The Launceston store's been open since 1978, and it is, I call it our mothership. We've got it's a lot bigger than our Hobart store. We've got a museum up there, a restaurant. They basically look after and cater for anyone up in the top end, and we of Tassie, and we look after anyone down here in the southern part of Tassie. Prior
to your shop here, if people wanted a textbook Harley service, they'd have to travel nearly 200 k's, which going on a ride is not such a bad idea, but if you've got to leave your bike for a day, then you're looking at 2.5 days out of your week, and if you're working, that's pretty hard to find.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So like we said, it is a great benefit for people down here in Hobart to take advantage of our technician and our store. And it's not just the bikes, we sell a lot of merchandise here too that's different from the Launceston store. So, we've got a great range down here, and the two stores act as one. We're not separate, we are one shop and one business. So, what we have got down here and what they've got up there, we rotate our stock quite a lot and we help each other out where we can. So everyone benefits, the whole state does. So it's really good.
When you buy a motorcycle, you want to do many things. You want to discover new places, you want to impress your mates, you want to pick up chicks. But the thing about motorcycles, they're quite convenient as well. And you don't get a bigger chick magnet than the Honda Dax. Due to its little wheel size and limited speed, the Dax did not always qualify as a road legal vehicle. And you know what? Riding it next to a B-double, I think that kind of makes a bit of sense. The world went mini bike crazy in the 60s, and the Dax, or the Dash Hound as it was known in Japan, was no exception. 70 cc's with a top speed of 50 miles per hour. And you know what? You could actually ride this thing on the road. Imagine that. And it was all about the future. It was we would have no time and streets would be congested with traffic, I guess, which they are. So you could get this thing, you put it into the back of your little Datsun in your boot, then you show up at work, assemble it, and you're away. Old became new again at the 2001 Tokyo Motor Show with the E-Dax concept vehicle. They had a 25 kilogram folding electric wheel motor scooter. Really, is that what we've come to? At least this thing runs on petrol. What I like about this particular bike is it drips with optimism. From its size to its top speed of 50 miles per hour to pillion pegs. You can take 2 people on this thing. Maybe the world would be a better place if we all rode Daxes. There'd be less congestion, that's for sure. I tell you what would be a lot richer. One of these is worth $4,000 now. Can you believe it? That's why the Honda Dax is a sled we love in our shed.
We're up here at the 23rd National HOG Rally in Cairns with Matt Mingay. Matt, what are you doing up here?
I travel around doing all the HOG rallies for Harley and coming out here and busting out and entertaining all the HOG members every time. It's great fun.
Well, you've been doing this sort of stuff for a long time as a career. How did you start out?
Yeah, mate, this is my 15th year full time. Started out just being a clown on a motorbike, and I entered a few stunt and wheelie competitions around the place and won them all, and kind of realised there could have been a good dollar in it. And a few events started hiring me and kind of blossomed from there.
Well, you've done a few movies too, I believe.
Yeah, mate, after a couple of years of touring the nation doing stunt shows everywhere, I got noticed by television. I did a couple of things for TV, and then got picked up by Paramount Pictures and did a couple of movies, and yeah, I've done a hell of a lot since then.
Now, Matt, this is a different bike, the one we saw down in Williamstown for the Harley 110?
Yes, mate, it's a different one compared to what it was. They're both identical to the average person, but I set them up quite a little bit different to each venue that I go to. They're virtually the same bike. They're both Knights of 1200s. It's pretty well standard from the usual Knights. The only thing I change is I change the foot pegs. This actually doubles as a crash cage, so for the odd time that I may drop it, it just lands on this, and it doesn't bend the pegs up and smash my cases in. I put a remote idle screw here, and that's for just a few tricks to vary the idles, doing no-handers and stuff. This one is my number 2 bike, so this one's got chain and sprockets, where the other one I still run a belt. Yeah, so with the rear end, I just put a what we call in the stunt industry is a 12 bar. And the reason why it's called a 12 bar is so when the bike's completely vertical, it's at 12 o'clock, so it's called a 12 bar with a titanium scrape pad. So when I get the bike cruising along on the back, it throws out that's where all the sparks come from. That's where I stand, and my pillion pegs are when I jump all over the bike. The other thing that's major modification we do is we add an extra brake caliper on the rear. With the handbrake, we put an extra lever on the handlebars. So the top lever is the clutch lever, and the bottom lever is the rear brake lever. And that's just so when we're jumping all over the motorbike and all over on the handlebars and all over the place doing our tricks, we've got access to a rear brake in case we stuff up.
One of the iconic pieces of road down here in Victoria is the Great Ocean Road, a couple of 100 kilometres south of Geelong. Have you done it much?
Yeah, I've done it a few times, again in my sports bike past, but also more recently with the cruisers. It's certainly a different perspective going along the Great Ocean Road on a cruiser. You tend to soak it all in a little bit more and not worry about, going around the corners so much, but sort of bringing in the scenery. It is truly an iconic tourist route.
It's one of the most popular roads in the world, and we're pretty fortunate enough being in Melbourne that it's just in our backyard.
You got 50, 60 k's of corners. Why wouldn't it be popular?
Did you like it?
Oh yeah. I occasionally do a 500k loop around the Great Ocean Road. It's a big day. It's great fun though.
It's probably a road that you ride at the conditions. The first 80 odd k's are fairly busy with tourists, being one of the most beautiful scenic roads in the world. I think it's actually it's listed as a National Trust road.
It's very tight and windy, so you've got to know what you're doing. You've got to go with experienced people and respect the road, and you'll enjoy it.
But what's the Great Ocean Road like for a trike? Is it an easy ride?
It is absolutely wonderful. I think it's probably the best ride I've done. Definitely. It's just the people and the view, the road itself. No, we really loved it.
So you reckon it should be on the bucket list for the rest of the country?
Yeah, I think it is. When it was at 100k an hour, it was a bit more fun. you didn't have to break the speed limit and had a lot of fun at hitting those corners. Now that it's 80, the agencies make it believe it's safer. You can still have fun. You can still enjoy the ride, absolutely. And there's so much to see. The scenery is fantastic.
This is the first time I've seen Eaglerider anywhere for that matter. Tell us about it.
Well, Eaglerider is the largest motorcycle rentals and tours company in the world. They've been around since 1992. The world headquarters is in Los Angeles, and they've wanted to start Eaglerider in Australia for quite some time.
Now, how did you get Matchy involved? I mean, he's one of those iconic figures in the motorcycle culture. If you don't know him, you haven't been around.
I got off an airplane in Australia, and my contact in Australia was Matchy. And we're like, righto, how am I going to know you? I'm going to be the guy in the black t-shirt with a beard. And he says, yeah, me too. I'll be the guy in the black t-shirt with a beard.
So I picked him up from the airport. We went up and did business.
So are you taking care of the mechanical side? Is that what your function is, or have you got another involvement?
I'll be in charge of the workshop and the mechanical side of the bikes. If we set up a touring around the country with runs, I'll be the guide with the tour.
Tell us about the bikes that you're going to have for hire.
Well, we're going to start in the Sydney and Brisbane stores both. We'll start with Harleys, so we'll have a range of touring bikes, Softails, Dynas, and Sportsters in each of those locations. And in every big city, we'll have a Harley-focused rental business, because the Harleys is the biggest part of the business. But another really big part of the business is the adventure tours, BMWs, Triumphs, that kind of thing. As well as we're doing learner legal rentals. We'll be doing dirt bikes, ATVs, Vespas, a whole range of products. But the focus early on is going to be Harley.
Believe you've had experience in Queensland of late.
Now with the Vlad laws, the treatment that I get, as not as a bikie but as a businessman in Queensland, purely because my transport of choice is a Harley Davidson, is nothing short of disgraceful. I've been refused fuel in a service station. I've been asked for ID at a bottle shop. I've been run off the road on the Gold Coast Highway because Mr. and Mrs. Joe Average now hate every single person who rides a motorcycle and think it's fair to swerve at them, point and laugh at them. I find it's positively un-Australian.
Riders across Australia were outraged, and freedom rides sprang up in every state and territory.
Very impressed with the turnout here, roughly about 250 bikes. Made a stand for all these fad laws and sticking up for everyone's rights who ride.
The freedom rides have gained a lot of attention around the country, but particularly in Brisbane.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people on the freedom rides, and just overwhelming support. On Australia Day, everyone was supposed to be celebrating living in a free country, but instead they're protesting about these ridiculous laws.
One of the interesting things that Premier Newman has said repeatedly is that the fact that the freedom rides are occurring means that democracy hasn't been damaged in Queensland. And in fact, when you see someone like Little Mick having to sit in his car and not attend a freedom ride simply because he's a member of a club that the Premier has said is a criminal organisation, that to me does not scream out that that's democracy in action.
We've had lots of people who aren't motorcycling people warn us about the police and to expect harassment. Yeah. Caravan parks, garages, restaurants, everywhere we stop, people are just taking, even in the street. We had a bloke come up to us the other day and just warn us about the trouble we should expect from the police. And I've never seen that sort of community support for the motorcycling community.
Exactly, Greg, and there it is, mate. You're witnessing what this groundswell is all about. Social media, mate, years ago we didn't have anything like that. To get knowledge we had to go to libraries or to talk to each other. Now, mate, everybody knows everything on social media, and that's where our PR's coming from. There is no money being, not an iota of money being spent on a PR campaign at all. It's all come from the voice of the people.
My view is really pretty straightforward. If we start to ostracize people who wear patch, either in front or behind, well then we may as well stop the Boy Scout, you know, because they wear them, and there is lots of organization in the RSL and all that, people who wear patch to show who they belong to. And where do you stop if people, as long as they don't are grossly indecent, you know, in the street, should be able to dress the way they see fit.
Kevin, we've just seen the running of the Harley Davidson Hammered Up Cup, and I did notice that the stewards came over in force to watch the running of the race, and in fact there was a video camera filming the whole thing. Has this happened before? I mean, has there been any question over the validity of the results?
You know, we've usually got a video camera or a camera on somewhere on site, and we usually pick somebody out of the audience. Just so happens this time your cameraman was our video referee, which is wonderful.
Did he win the race? That's what I want to know.
No, we've had the Orange Pig Hamble soup can as one, but you know, commiserations to Smell Pigs and Oprah Swine Free. They were in the mix, but you know, all in the top 7, as you know, Greg.
This is probably a new event for a National HOG Rally. What's been the reaction of the bikers here?
They've all loved it. They've loved it. It's really interesting because we do a few pub gigs, but it's been good here. Predominantly adult crowd, as you could imagine. So yeah, but they've certainly appreciated the pigs, that's for sure.
Now, I understand you do this around Queensland?
We do a heck of a lot of pub jobs and places like Nindy Gully and the Sandy Creek pub at Warwick. There's a number of other pubs in Toowoomba and Brisbane that we raise money for different charities. There might be the Royal Flying Doctors or Care Flight. So yeah, we like doing that part of it, and it's a feather in our cap, and people seem to get a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Well, one request for next year, mate, you need to think of some biker names for the piglets so that we can actually cheer them on. Adam Wright from Harley Davidson would be perfect. Matt Mingay would be another. I'm sure we can think of a few others. In fact, some Queensland politicians come to mind, but let's not go down that pathway. Kev, thank you for your time.
Thanks very much, Greg. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Well, Temporary Australians has found some great rides in CBDs of a number of cities in Australia. There's a boulevard in Melbourne, there's a Kurnow ride in Sydney. In Hobart, they've got the ride to Mount Wellington. And if you want to know how to find it, just cross the Tasman Bridge and look up. That ride to Mount Wellington was just spectacular.
Yes, and look, Mount Wellington, I think, is like one of those things where you live that people don't always visit. Like, I wonder how many people who live in Sydney have done the bridge climb, for example. But so here in Tasmania, I think a lot of people probably do take Mount Wellington for granted and only tend to maybe visit it when they've got people coming from interstate. But I love Mount Wellington. The view up there is absolutely magic. It truly is.
Now, I've got a couple of Tassie riders here. Tell us why you guys keep this ride a secret. I mean, very few people outside of Tassie seem to know about Mount Wellington.
Why we keep it a secret? Well, look where it is. It's magnificent. Magnificent spot to be. It's a great ride. It's nice and windy. It's always cold up here.
As locals, it's breathtaking every time I come up here. Yeah.
So you don't mind if we interstate riders come and enjoy the party?
A smaller group's nicer to ride up the mountain.
Yeah, as you can see, we get quite a few tourists up here, and dodging in and around the hire cars can be a bit of an effort sometimes.
But it's still worth doing?
Absolutely worth doing.
Girls, what did you think of the ride to Mount Wellington?
I find in a car you can't tend to see as much of the view, whereas being on the bike you get to admire the views and that.
It's just feeling the countryside more so than in a car. You feel like you're in within the environment more. You get a little bit of the view on the way up, and then you come up and it's breathtaking at the top.
Oh, it's a great little ride up to the top of the mountain. I mean, the view from up the top's fantastic. You know, it's close to Hobart, so you can get up there, check the view out. If it's not too cold, stand around for a little bit longer and enjoy it.
It's a pretty well kept secret you guys have got here.
Yes, and it's a good width, particularly for motorcyclists. We've got that leeway now that if we've got some stray foreign drivers, we've still got plenty of road left. Yeah, and a magnificent view when you get there.
Mount Wellington is a fantastic road. I don't advise people to go up there in the winter. We get a little bit of black ice and it can be pretty cold and wet and windy up there. But on a day like today, it is probably the best day to go up there. Magnificent views, a fantastic ride. They're trying to get an entertainment centre or food centre built up at the Springs again. And as usual in Tasmania, things happen very, very slowly here. And it'll take a while, but eventually once they get something up there, a cafe or something like that, people will be able to go up there and enjoy themselves even more.
That's amazing. That's the second time we've lost a camera to a pig on this show. What are the chances? Anyway, coming up next week, well, you'll be back for sure.
I promise I will.
And if you want to see some more details about Temporary Australians, go to our website, temporaryaustralians.com.au. Everything is there, videos, and you can buy the DVD. See you next week.